proposal for the Notre Dame new roof, which was published in Art Daily and Design New. He's also the founder of Valentino Gareri Architectural SLA based in Sydney and New York. Please give a warm welcome to Valentino.
Thank you. Okay, great. Let's start. So if you can dream it, you can do it. Does anyone know who pronounced this quote? I think everyone. So Walt Disney. The reason why I'm starting with this quote is because I really think that architecture should really aim for changing the world, and architects should really push in order to make a difference in this world. We live nowadays in a society where there is a general diffuse pessimism, where climate changes, economic instabilities, nationalisms, and now even spread of disease are really making people and new generations thinking and doubt that their future will be better than their parents' one. So I really think that architecture, as one of the main form of arts, should really inspire, has the duty to inspire people to dream and to think how the world can be and to hope in a better ideal world. Less is more. This is one of the most important quotes for architecture in the last decades. And I think that architecture can't speak to the new generations anymore with an old language. We should start saying that dreaming maybe is more. What does it mean? Does it mean that we have to design super expensive or crazy and not feasible buildings? Not really. So I was talking about this point with a construction developer, and he said, you know, architecture, good architecture is very expensive, good architects are expensive. And then I was a bit upset because I don't agree with that. I think that if a good architect is expensive, just hire a better one. And good architecture means, and being a good architect means being cost and resource conscious. And good architecture is priceless, not priceful. Sustainability. This is another very common and used and abused word in the architectural world. I think it's not enough to talk about sustainability anymore. Of course, when you design a building, you have to take for granted that it has to be sustainable and not to consume a lot of energies. We need to start thinking to the ability to sustain, which means the ability to strengthen the relationship, the fragile relationship between ecosystems, between humans and Mother Nature. Nowadays, architects are becoming more and more cosmetician and just designing pretty facades on buildings which look all the same, no matter where they're built. I really think that architecture should take a strong inspiration from the surrounding, from the context, and should use the constraints of the site as ingredients to shape the building, which of course will look all different because they will function in a different way, and they will be the perfect answer for that specific context. And I also think that we need to think about this without increasing the cost of constructions. And for example, we can think about modular buildings, modular components, and the way they combine each other brings, at the end, to something out of ordinary. I want to show 3 projects that have each of one in common, the same idea of starting from a modular, low-cost component, and by the repetition and the way it's combined, we can land to something out of ordinary. The first project is a prototype of modular school in Africa. And 60% of children in sub-Saharan Africa between 15 and 17 are not at school. And one of the main reasons is because of the lack of educational buildings. So can the modular and low-cost design help to increase the number of buildings and to kind of improve the situation? I was very keen on seeing what happened when we combine a need, like the rainwater collection, in this case, to the local vernacular architecture and see what happens. The outcome was a building made of triangular modular components. Each of them contains water tanks to collect the rains, and is made of local materials and local construction technique. And of course, there is a strong relationship with the local art patterns and local architecture. So the idea is not to be competing with the context, but more completing it. And if we go a bit deeper on the process that brought to the final outcome, just by taking a one-story high volume made of modules of 450 square feet, each module can contain a classroom. By stretching the internal corridor, we can create an internal courtyard where children are protected. In Africa, it's very important to think about safety. In this case, the building itself becomes a fence. And then providing a sustainable green roof to reduce energy consumption. This is possible thanks to those triangular elements which contain planter boxes. So from the top, vegetation can grow and provide a low-cost roof. And the same elements contain water tanks, so the rainwater is collected and can be reused for purposes like a kitchen or toilets or for the vegetation irrigation itself. So the final outcome is this prototype made of modular elements, and of course it can be adapted to different cases and different brief and numbers. So this is one image from the entry, and I really like this image because it shows how there is a kind of practical poetry where an element of everyday life, like a water tank, can be turned into something more poetic and refer to the local architecture and local habits and art. And this amazing series of components creates this colonnade experience, and also provides shading for the classrooms. And moreover, the triangular shape is the best to both allow the light to be shaded, but to come in, the daylight to come in inside the classrooms without any additional shading system. So I say this building is made of components, all modular. All of them are equals, so are made of 15 by 15 square feet, 15 feet each small side. And this is a typical classroom. So basically the brain desk can be potentially stored, beds can be used for other functions, and they can use for, we know that in Africa school is not just a school, but it can be all-day building used for different purposes. Or you can store everything, and we can use the space for very flexible activities. So this is another image of the internal courtyard. As said before, it's a protected zone where you can, children can have a different educational experience. The vegetation can go on top through wire trellis, and we can add more shading, and at the same time add the component of nature in the educational process of the school. The same module can be utilized for different purposes and different functions. For example, it can be part of a medical center, can be used as units for workshops or for temporary accommodations. So I said at the beginning, is the way we combine the module that makes the building and makes the building answering to a need, a very specific need. This is one of those elements, so you can see the top is the planter box and underneath the water tank. And the cladding can be made of hay, which is most of the common materials in Africa, especially used for roofs. This section shows the main sustainable systems and devices. So we have, of course, the rainwater collection, and the tanks collect the water, and the water can be spread into the building. The green roof, made possible by this vegetation that grows from the planter boxes and creates this low-cost additional roof that, of course, reduces the energy consumption. Cross ventilation can be considered like an additional breeze that can reduce the energy for ventilation. And so this is an example of how architecture can somehow has to recognize the needs of the context and provide an answer through its geometry and through its shape, which of course will be always different because it has to respond to that need. That's why I like to talk about utopian plus practical. And the utopian component brings to the practical, but it has to be practical. So the two things can go together, and that's why we can talk about utopical architecture. So architecture that somehow responds and gives answers, but is not something that we have seen already, but is out of ordinary. The second project is modular units for calamities emergencies in L'Aquila, which is in the center of Italy. In 2009, there was a big earthquake, and 309 people died, 23,000 buildings were damaged. So 65,000 people left the city center, have been relocated out of the historical city center. The answer was providing temporary accommodations to the emergency, but after the first emergency, you don't lose only the roof, you lose the identity of as a community, because what here is lacking is the idea of city, urban kind of planning, idea of having a plaza, place where you can meet and socialize. So really, people, most of them are still in this situation after more than 10 years, and they are really missing their idea and sense of identity or as a community. So I was thinking how we can somehow provide a need, in this case a temporary accommodation, to the social component, so a plaza, a place where people can stay together. And the opportunity to develop this idea came with a project of an educational center for one of the towns affected by that earthquake. And the brief was asking for a kindergarten, a primary school, and a secondary school. So by combining all the program, we tried to kind of create an engaging engagement between the part of the programs, but at the same time, an engagement with the external landscape. By shifting the two rings, we can double up the two courtyards. So then maybe one can be used for the school and the other one can be used for the community. And the final massing shows how the two rings provide two courtyards and all the classrooms can be placed in circle. So this is an image of these two rings made of cross-laminated timber modules, all equals. The first can be like can contain the community center, and on the right side we can see the courtyard for the school, so are more intimate. This is an image that shows how it can be integrated with the landscape. And a strong reference was the house tree, the tree house. So I think every kid's dream is to live on a tree house, and the school has been designed as a tree house. So you can go on the roof, have an experience like being on a tree house, and having multiple levels of educational approach. For example, in section, we can see that the Plaza for Community has a more urban configuration where maybe a library and a cafe can host people from all the town. On top, we have the secondary school. On the right, the primary school, and the other courtyard is more kind of educational courtyard. We have the Plaza for Education, of course. On top, we have the plaza for the discovery, where kids can start looking at the trees, animals, and birds. And so it's part of the educational process, as much as the place of sustainability, where all the sustainable devices are shown to the kids that can learn and start having this first touch with sustainability. This is a diagram that shows the functions. So in light yellow, the kindergarten, on top the secondary school, and on the right, the primary school. The facade is made of an alternation of opaque and transparent panels, which allow to avoid any blinds thanks to the circular shape of the building. So you can see on the left that the opaque timber panels are straight, perpendicular to the direct sun, but in the other way, you can allow the view from outside. And I guess this is my personal revenge for being a student in a primary school where blinds were down all day. The two plans show how those modules are all equals. So every module is made of 55 square meters module. It's ideal for 20-25 children, and it can be used for other purposes, other functions, for residential units, for spaces for community like library, cafe, and restaurants. And the same module can be part of a medical center. So as I said before, the same module used in different ways can be a way to solve an emergency like a earthquake in this case. School. Last project is the Notre Dame de Paris Cathedral roof proposals. And of course, as everyone knows, what happened was that a fire destroyed the cathedral. So the main question was what should we do? Should we replace the old roof as it was, or should we do something more or different? I did this crazy, insane proposal where people, of course, were not believing it, but the idea was to provide different functions with domes, glass domes. And of course, it's been published and it got some good appreciations, but a lot of critical comments, and I can go through some of them. People were saying, rebuild as it was. I'll let you reading. No, someone made some interesting suggestions. And this one, yeah, something else. So, actually someone was timidly saying, I like the dome, but maybe straight away stopped by someone else. So the question is what to do when there is a big catastrophe like that. What should architecture say? This is something very funny happened when the French Senate decided to restore the old roof as it was. So what happened was the people reacted in a different way. They were start saying, this is a missed opportunity, very disappointing. So it's interesting to see how people react in a different way when they knew that it was not possible to do something different. So filled with a fine sense of optimism, I said, okay, let's develop these domes a little more. I didn't have to do much because someone else already built and designed amazing domes in the past, Buckminster Fuller. And the way he built these amazing domes was by using simple, repetitive triangles. So a very simple element that can achieve an amazing outcome like this. So the idea was to provide different functions, as we said. We can have a musical event, and this is an image of one of these domes where you can listen to an opera, and at the same time you can look at the amazing skyline of Paris, and also for the happiness of gargoyles that can watch it for free. The second option can be a weatherproof park where you can go even if it's raining outside, or a cathedral relics museum, so you can have an exhibition, a temporary exhibition. In this case, gargoyle, they don't really appreciate it. They look away. So the idea of these proposals, of course, was not to be really proposing to build that, but was to use the opportunity of the visibility of the media to say something about this. What should architecture say and do when there is something like that? And of course, we can't make it feasible for Notre Dame. But for smaller and less important buildings, I think we can somehow say that architecture should do something more, should bring and push forward just not replacing what we had before. So we did this journey. We started in Africa, where kids have to walk for miles to go to school. We went to Italy, where the earthquake destroyed the city center of L'Aquila, and then we finished in Paris, where the fire destroyed the roof. And we have seen 3 possible answers to these 3 different emergencies. These 3 projects are very different in each other, but in the same time, they have in common the generational idea of having a module, a component, and the way it's combined and is used brings and lends to something out of ordinary. I want to conclude now saying something with, and for the young architects, I think it wants to be more an encouragement, and I think I've seen some of them here. I think really that architecture should aim for changing the world, and architects and young architects have to dream big, and think that even whatever you are going to design, a skyscraper in Manhattan or a small house in the countryside, think how your design can contribute to change the world. And when you start sketching on the blank paper within the boundary side, think how to make that small corner of the world a better place where to live in. And if everyone does it, all the entire planet will be a better place where to live in. Thank you.
Can we have questions?
Yeah, sure.
The question is, wonderful presentation. I'm not an architect, I'm just a certified corporate accountant, but I'm in close construction industry. What will be the most challenge to build this project? Is that money is one of them?
I guess it's not money, because as I said, the idea is not to increase construction costs. Actually, the idea is to reduce them by using repetitive and modular components. It's a good point. Which is the most challenging part? The education, especially of the client. Try to let the industry understand that it's possible to do something different in a different way. So the most challenging thing is how to convince and show clients what is possible to achieve in a different way. But I think we are almost there. Things are changing, and I'm pretty confident that we can have good results in the future. So.
It was really interesting to see your dream of Notre Dame, and of course there was controversy over that, and I love that you presented an idea that would never be approved, just to say, hey, this is something we can do. Is there an example of an architectural disaster that it was modernized in a successful way that you feel?
Just the last part? The example of what?
Is there an example of an architectural disaster where it was modernized, the renovation was modernized, and it was a great example of doing that, instead of necessarily going back to historical preservation?
This is a very good question. I don't have the answer because I don't think we have any case of example of something like that, at least not at the importance of Notre Dame. Offshore, you can see maybe a small building destroyed by an earthquake and then rebuilt in a modern way. It's full of those examples, but not at the same importance of Notre Dame. That's why this idea, this concept has been made to get the visibility of the media and to say something that I wouldn't be able to say just redesigning a small house outside here, you know. So yeah. Thank you.